Love where you live and play with Lindsay Management. Affordable apartments and golf memberships at 9 and 18-hole courses. Buying or selling? Trust Lindsay and Associates. Serving the community for over 50 years. Lindsay, #1 in apartments, golf, and real estate.
Want to run faster, jump higher, move with more power? The Sports Recovery and Development Program at Bridges Therapy Group builds speed, strength, agility, and endurance while correcting movement issues that can cause injury. Give your athlete the edge. Schedule an assessment today at srdathlete.com.
It's the 31 days of deals going on at the Lewis Automotive Group. This December, it's all about deals, discounts, and daily giveaways. All deals on our vehicles are backed by the Lewis Guarantee, where you get a 10-year, 120,000-mile powertrain warranty. That's right, double the manufacturer warranty, only with Lewis Automotive. With hundreds of quality, new and used vehicles, see us today for big deals, discounts, and daily giveaways at any of our locations in Farmington, Fayetteville, or Springdale. Wrap up your savings this December during our 31 days of deals, only at the Lewis Automotive Group.
We are breaking down the new realignment and the changes coming to high school football the next 2 years in the AAA. It is Friday, December 19th, and this is Varsity Vibe Today. Welcome into Varsity Vibe Today on this Friday. Hope you guys have had a great week. I'm your host, Alyssa Orange, and thank you, as always, for joining us. Got a lot of basketball action ahead of us this weekend. So if you need something to do, there are a ton of basketball showcases. Bentonville West, the first one that pops into my head, but great basketball for you to get out there and watch this weekend if you want to. But of course, the biggest story coming out on Thursday is the new realignment for high school football and the AAA. So let's get to it. Our Lewis Automotive opening drive. Excited to have Bobby Swofford, the Assistant Executive Director of the AAA, join us because it was a big day, Bobby. I know you've had a lot of questions thrown at you because of the high school realignment and teams moving classifications. And so we can kind of break that down, but we knew a lot of this was happening. So it's not a surprise. I think the biggest thing with Greenwood moving down to 5A, and then you have Shiloh moving up to 7A. Which is a whole new gauntlet in itself. Just understanding the process that it takes to go through these and make those changes.
Yeah, it's actually a long process. We get the numbers from the Department of Education for its school enrollments early in the summer, usually about July of every other year. They're 2-year cycles that teams are put into conferences and classifications, and that's when this process starts. But we really can't put pen to paper as far as assigning teams to conferences or even classifications until the season is over, based on the competitive equity factor for our non-public schools. Of course, they have success factors that are built in that our schools have voted to approve a couple of years ago. And so the more they have success, the more points they accrue, and that's how the non-public schools would move up. And so what you do is you take that data from the Department of Education, and then you find out, okay, well, what's the biggest school? What's 1 through 16 for the 7A, same thing for 6A, and we just work our way from top to bottom.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds easy. It just, I think it catches people by surprise, right? Yeah. When you look at a place like Greenwood, for example, and they're moving down because of enrollment, but how dominant they've been on the football field, that doesn't necessarily mean they've got a lot of kids in their high school, and it has to be fair like that. And so when you look at a program like Shiloh, that's a private school now competing in the 7A, how big of a challenge is that going to be for Tucker Barnard in that group?
So first off, you're exactly right as far as the enrollment. So it's strictly based on that. The success for public schools has nothing to do with what classification they're going to be put in. It's all based on their enrollment. Greenwood's been the smallest 6A school the last couple cycles. And so the fact that they just now moved down is actually kind of lucky for some other schools in 5A that it hasn't happened up to this point, at least for football. For other sports, it's completely different. But of course, we're talking about football in this scenario. But as far as Shiloh Christian moving up to 7A, based on what we saw a couple weekends ago, I think they're going to be just fine. As long as they're rolling out an offense that put up 70 points in the 6A state championship game. And you're talking about studs all across the front line of the offense and the running backs and the receivers. They're going to be, as long as they've got athletes like that, they're going to be just right in the middle of the 7A West, if not competing for conference championships.
Yeah, I think the only other 7A team that put up 70 was Rogers. So I think Shiloh's going to be just fine. I think it's just one of those things when you look at it from an understanding standpoint with the AAA, your guys are just trying to make it as balanced and as even of a playing field as possible.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. I mean, what we do is we take all the schools based on the enrollment as far as the public schools, and we essentially put dots on a map and we start connecting them at that point. And it's all about geography. Everybody always wants to wonder how the schools are actually assigned in your classification. And it really is based on mileage between the schools. And so what you do is you have to start in one corner of the state. Really doesn't matter which corner you start in. And then you count to 8, because in football, unlike other sports, the conferences are capped at 8 based on the rules that these schools voted in. And so once you get to 8, you go to the next conference. And a couple of years ago, we didn't necessarily have this issue this year, but Searcy and Harding Academy were both in the same classification, but they were in different conferences. Because if you start in a corner of a state, there's going to be one that's the cutoff. And so even though they were separated by 4 or 5 miles, they ended up in a different conference, even though they're literally just a bus ride away. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people ask that question. And the second question we get asked the most is, how am I a 5A school in football, but a 4A school in other sports? And the simple question is, we only have about 210 football playing schools in Arkansas. We've got upwards of 300 that play basketball and other sports. And so not everybody plays football, not everybody plays every other sport. So you can't guarantee you're going to be in the same classification, because your neighbor may not play that sport compared to another one.
Mm-hmm. I would love to see what that map looks like at the end. Yeah. Right. Like I can just envision one of those like crime scene maps with just things and pin, you know what I mean? Like I'm sure it's a lot more structured than that, but that's what my vision is bringing to the front of my head. Some other changes: you've got Mills going to 5A, as is Dardanelle, and then you have Searcy and Little Rock Southwest going up to 6A, and those are the changes that are being made. But like you mentioned, it's a 2-year cycle, so this gets completely reevaluated in 2 years. So for people hitting the panic button, wait a minute, that doesn't necessarily mean this is going to be concrete.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Little Rock Southwest has been in the 7A Central for, I guess, since their existence. But because of the competitive equity, we have to cap it at 16 with Shiloh Christian moving up. That has to force the team down. And so that's why you're going to see Southwest now playing in the 6A West, so a conference rival of Siloam Springs next year, instead of playing Little Rock Central. So it's going to be a little different for some schools, but we see this happen every cycle. It's just, and now it's happening at the largest classification. People are starting to hit the panic button. If you're a 3A or 4A school, you're used to seeing this happen every year. You're talking about 5, 6, maybe even 7 schools changing from classification up or down. And you look at the bottom of it this year, as far as the smaller schools, we had 5 or 6 schools drop from 2A to play 8-man football for the next cycle. We're going to have 20 teams play 8-man football. We actually had to add an extra conference. So there's a bunch of movement at the bottom, but of course, everybody wants to talk about the movement at the top.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think sticks out. And I think, again, when it's a name like Greenwood, when it was a name like Shiloh Christian, people were paying attention. Right. Yeah. You're champions in the 6A, and now neither of them are going to be in that classification, and everybody wants to talk about it, but it makes sense. And again, the AAA just making it as balanced as possible. I appreciate you breaking that down for all of us. Honestly, I think it's a big question that everyone would answer. So Bobby, thanks for your time.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
Club Car Wash is the best place to get your ride game day ready. From convenient locations to free towels and vacuums, it only takes a few minutes to have your car looking great. With locations throughout the state and membership starting at just $22 a month. Revive your ride at Club Car Wash.
Quick Turf is the go-to team for building championship-level sports facilities for public schools, private schools, and the entire school district. They also install beautiful backyard putting greens for homeowners. Known for lifelike, eco-friendly turf, Quick Turf handles everything from design and lighting to drainage and final landscaping. Their all-in-one approach delivers high-performance surfaces for athletes and low-maintenance greens that last for years. With preventative maintenance programs, they keep every field and green looking game day ready. Schedule a free consultation today at quickturf.com. That's QIKturf.com.
The Everett difference means we are committed to giving back to the communities we serve.
When I think of Everett, I think of them more than just a car dealership.
Everett's involvement in the community is phenomenal. I see it in the police and fire department. I see it in the Boys and Girls Club.
They're just constantly giving back to the community that helped build them.
I would recommend them first, always. We are grateful for the opportunity to serve. Discover the Everett difference for yourself.
It is now time to introduce you to this week's SRD Performance Athlete of the Week.
My name is Emerson Rakoff. I go to Farmington High School and I play volleyball. I started coming because I just wanted to improve my vertical and speed and agility, and I'd heard a lot of good things about it, so I wanted to try it out and see. And my sister's best friends with the owner's daughter, so I just wanted to see them more too. I think a place like this is unique because it's more of like, they're focused on not just growing you like as an athlete, but also as a person, because I've done like strength programs before in California and stuff like that, but here kind of like, before they, put you through the ringer with the Vertimax and the strength training and all that, they focus on like, how was your day? How have you been? Like that kind of thing. And I never like had that before at any training facility I'd ever been at. Significantly more prepared, I think. I think like it not only helped me prepare physically, but also like knowing that I'd put in the work and I came here and I'd gotten great help from great people, like also gave you like that confidence boost in the back of my mind for sure.
To learn more about the program, visit srdathlete.com. That is all for Varsity Vibe today. Thank you so much for joining us. And again, follow us along on all of our great content that we have on our social media platforms. That is Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook, as well as subscribe to the podcast and our YouTube channel. And make sure to sign up for the newsletter coming to your inbox twice a week. Just go to varsityvibearkansas.com to do that, to make sure that you are always in the know with everything happening in high school athletics. Of course, we couldn't do this without our great sponsors. A special thank you to them. At L&L Metal Fabrication, strength isn't just in the steel, it's in the craftsmanship, precision, and trust we bring to every project. From small custom jobs to big industrial projects, our team has the experience and equipment to get it done right and built to last. Whether you're building, repairing, or designing something new, we'll help turn your vision into reality. Call L&L Metal Fabrication today at 479-361-9640 or visit llmetalfab.com. L&L Metal Fabrication. Custom craft built to last.
Distribution Solutions Incorporated began providing superior customer service back in 1997 based out of Harrison, Arkansas, and they're supporting our local communities today and always looking for professional OTR drivers. DSI knows drivers by name. They're about their people, and when you work with DSI, it feels more like a family than a job, and they know home time matters. If you're a driver, check out their website, drivedsi.com. All the benefits, all the vacation time, and that home time that matters. drivedsi.com.